Most people are smarter than they think they are. They are. I've worked with a lot of students and I will explain something to them and they get it. When I was a student, people would explain stuff to me and I just couldn't get it. I just struggled and tried, and many times I would give up and just move on. So I think most people are smarter than they think they are. So if you're watching this video, chances are you're a lot better than you think you are. There's a lot of potential. And so what is this video about? This video is about 3 toxic habits that you need to avoid, because these habits will bring you down. I mean, they will bring you down. And these are things you've probably done. Maybe not, but maybe you have. I know for certain I have done all of these things. Maybe not all in the same semester, but I have done all of these things, and every single time it hurts me. Every time. Make sure you don't do these things. Toxic habit number 1, skipping class. This is one that I am super guilty of, and I've done it a couple times. And it's a really weird process because when you think about skipping class, you rationalize it in your mind. You tell yourself, hey, I'm going to skip class because I'm going to study for another class. So you don't go to class, you skip class, you use that time, and maybe you do get some studying done. And maybe that studying is the reason you'll do well on another test. But the fact you miss class really, really hurts you. It's really hard to teach yourself certain subjects. I mean, it helps to have an actual classroom where you can go and you can ask questions and you have some actual, live instruction. So don't skip class. And I've seen really smart students do this. I've had brilliant students. I'm talking about people that are just like insanely intelligent, and they skip class and they'll do okay sometimes. They'll pass the class, they'll get an A, but there's always these gaps. They'll take the test and they'll work through the solutions, on the test, and there's just like missing elements, things that they would have known if they would have come to class. And I can clearly tell by their performance. So even though they skipped class and did well, they're still lacking, right? Because these are people who are just brilliant, right? People who can skip class and do well in a math class are awesome, right? I mean, if you're able to do that, if you're able to skip your math class and do well, you're amazing. You have a gift, and you should definitely be going to class because that's going to help you really utilize your gift. Having said that, most people that skip class don't do well. These are rare exceptions, right? I'm talking about only a few times have I had students who've actually skipped class and done well. Most of the time when people skip class, they don't do well. And most of the time they fail. So that is definitely what I would consider a very, very toxic habit. Toxic habit number 2, not doing your homework. This one is especially bad because it hurts you 2 different ways. So by not doing homework, you're not doing any practice problems. And as much as I love watching math videos and reading math books, a lot of mathematics is about doing math problems. There's that old saying, which I don't really like, but it is true. Math is not a spectator sport. So it's really important to actually do math problems. And the homework is one way to do that. So another way it hurts you is that by not doing homework, it hurts your actual grade. In most classes, homework is a significant portion of your grade. So it hurts your grade and you're not learning as much math as you should be learning. Now, having said that, I have had students that haven't done any homework all semester and they've passed the class, usually sometimes with an A or B in some cases. I had a student once many years ago in a pre-calculus class, and in that class, the homework was 20% of the grade. This student worked it out mathematically to where he would get exactly a 50 on the homework. And then he scored pretty much 100 or a little bit higher with extra credit on every single test. He ended the semester with like a 90.4, and so he was able to secure his A. That's a really weird story, and that's really unique. I have had hundreds of students over the years, and that guy was very, very different, right? So crazy story. So it is possible you can not do homework and do really, really well, but it is not the norm. It is not the norm at all. So make sure to do homework. Not doing it is really going to hurt you. Again, two ways. You won't learn the math, and it's going to hurt your grade. Also, if you don't do the homework, it is going to hurt your performance on the test. And even if it doesn't, it's going to show. I had a student once long ago in a differential equations class, and he never did any homework. He would show up just for the tests. This guy was a genius. I think he's a genius. I think he is brilliant. He's probably one of the smartest students I've ever had, but he didn't do the homework. And so when he would take the test, he would solve the differential equations. He would solve them in different ways, in ways that in many cases were a little bit more convoluted. It's almost like he was just solving them with his own methods in his own creative mind. It was really, really, really interesting to see. But again, rare situation. Most people who don't do homework, they're gonna suffer on the test as well. If you've made it this far, we're down to toxic habit number 3. So if you're able to avoid the first two, that means you're going to class, right? You're not skipping class. You're doing the homework. But then there's still one more toxic habit that you definitely need to avoid. It's not studying for the test. And this one is huge. I see this semester after semester. Students will come to every single class. They'll do all of the homework, but they won't study for the test. And this is one that is really, really hard to break, because in order to study for the test, you have to be coming to class so that you learn how to do the homework, and then you actually have to do the homework. So that takes time. You know, say the homework is due on Monday and today is Sunday and you're still doing it. When are you going to have time to study? So in order to break this toxic habit of not studying for a test, you really have to finish the homework early. And that that is a challenge, right? That is very, very difficult. Over the years, every semester, I've always had maybe a handful or a little bit more of students who've actually been able to finish the homework several days early and study for the test. And those students, they usually do pretty well. Some do better than others. That's always the case, but they usually always do pretty well. Rarely do those students fail. So by studying for the test, you're going to do well. It's really, really going to help you. So those are probably the worst things you can do to completely kill your grades, right? Skipping class, not doing the homework, and not studying for the tests. Those are like the 3 most important things you should avoid when you're taking any class, whether it be in high school or college. And if you avoid these things, you're off to a really good start. So what does that mean? That means go to every class, even if your mind is off that day. It doesn't matter if you're having a bad day or you're not feeling well, as long as it's not contagious, right? But, you know, if you're having a bad day or you stayed up all night, go to class anyways. Even if you don't understand anything, write everything down. That's a complaint I hear a lot. You know, people, they stop going to class because they feel that the lectures are so bad that they're not getting anything out of it. I've been there. I've been in that classroom. I've been the guy who sits there in the back, super confused and like not understanding anything. I still write everything down, and then you just go home and figure it out later. As for homework, it's worth doing. And even if you're in one of those classes where the homework has nothing to do with the test, because I've been there, right? I've been that student who is in that class doing the homework, and then I take the test, and the test is totally different. It doesn't matter. You're still learning mathematics. It's still part of your grade. It's still worth doing. And as for the studying for the test part, that is always a good idea, especially in classes where the homework doesn't really align with the test. Study everything, right? Go over all of your notes, redo all of your homework. And if you're in a graduate level class, I would recommend doing problems from other books, right? There is no such thing as overdoing it when it comes to studying. Just make sure you take a break before the test and you get a lot of sleep. Hopefully this video has helped you avoid some really, really toxic habits that can kill your grade. Good luck to you. Remember, you're smarter than you think you are. Go do some math.